Hello everyone. Welcome to a scary two-story compilation. Both stories have been narrated by the talented Andrew H. First up, Sweet Paws, a sinister influencer has deadly secrets. Next, The Drone, a story about a boy, a drone, and an evil that refuses to die. Hit that subscribe button if you enjoy these eerie stories. Your support keeps me going to offer you more chilling tales. Enjoy.
Story number 1.
Sweet Paws by Magic Art. On the eerie outskirts of Cheyenne, Wyoming, the mysterious Molly Truesdale emerged as a favored YouTube senior. With silver hair and a grand motherly veneer, she wove tales of her past career in Asia as a Christian missionary. The food was to die for, she wistfully reminisced, a faraway glint in her eyes. You just can't get authentic Asian cuisine like that here in the States, that's for sure. A clamor for differing opinions sprang up in her live chat room as she streamed her dinner preparation from a spacious, well-equipped kitchen. There she sharpened a cleaver that would make Lizzie Borden blush and proceeded to dice up raw chicken on a cutting board. Persistent viewer questions about the experience of consuming cats and dogs always gave an indignant pause to the old woman whenever she opined about having lived in China's Guangxi Autonomous Region. A new subscriber quipped that Molly was keeping ever-pregnant feral cats on her property as if they were her end times chickens. Indeed, Molly appeared to the casual observer to be too disaffected to simply call the local no-kill animal shelter and take advantage of their free spay and neuter program. The newbie was instantly banned. "Controversial topics do not belong here," she deflected, barely masking her culinary proclivity to the interloper's suggestion. "I will tell you this once and for all. Humans first, then animals." Molly's pragmatic attitude towards the food chain hierarchy seemed to fade away every time her favorite little soldier, Sweet Paws, would appear on camera. When Molly dined on her patio, which was often, the adult male cat would leap onto a director's chair next to hers. There, he would beg for scraps of food off her plate on live streams. She would smile creepily at the oblivious cat and ask him weird rhetorical questions as she hand-fed him small pieces of mystery meat. "You're a hungry little man, aren't you? Who's my little star?" Molly's audience went wild over these seemingly benign and charitable interactions between herself and the overly friendly Sweet Paws. The other cats would occasionally entwine themselves around the back legs of the patio chair she sat in, but none ventured as close to her as Sweet Paws did. Unlike this precocious cat, they all sensed something dark and malevolent about his benefactor, who always bore her sharp canines while petting him, her eyes as vacant as those of a dead fish. The band's subscriber wasn't making indelicate remarks without cause, since Molly would organically lead occasional discussions to the weird meat direction. Viewers watched her live stream her many scavenger hunts for odd cuts of cheap meat at shady butcheries that she lauded as angels for saving an old woman a few pennies, and God bless 'em. She would treat her viewers to her butchcraft cooking skills as she used this suspect meat to make rustic meat pies and stews over the coals of her backyard fire ring. Several months passed, and Molly's financial situation became untenable for reasons unknown to her audience. In spite of receiving significant revenue as a landlord of a basement apartment in her house, she was still coming up short with her personal income. Her predicament gradually worsened, leading her down a dark, surreal path. Her streams, once quaint and relaxing, now took on a disquieting tone as she began to regularly sift through sketchy, discarded food left on sidewalks on camera. A very proud woman, she finally asked for emergency financial assistance from her die-hard subscribers. After months of Sweet Paws making his regular appearance on camera, Molly suddenly announced that Sweetie fell victim to a hit-and-run accident. Astute viewers sensed that Molly's detached demeanor when discussing the cat's demise hinted at something far more ominous. Unbeknownst to them, Molly had resorted to unthinkable acts against the feral colony frequenting her property. Hank and Deidre Preston, her renters, became her reluctant accomplices because they were fully aware of what was going on, but they were too afraid of being evicted by Molly at the time to let the proverbial cat out of the bag. As more cats vanished, the unsettling atmosphere intensified. Molly, attempting to maintain her pretense, couldn't hide the discrepancies in her behavior or the periodic disappearances. Her surreptitious glances towards the remaining cats and their extreme skittishness around her was quite alarming. And she now manifested hesitant, awkward pauses in her discussions of anything cat-related. Viewers would regularly send her 25-pound bags of dry cat food for the feral cats, and Molly would simply murmur an almost inaudible "thank you" on camera and then quickly change the subject. Hank and Deidre, witnesses to the covert atrocities and grappling with overwhelming guilt over their silence, decided to start a YouTube channel in order to become indirect whistleblowers. They sent out invites to all of Molly's subscribers, and they purposely unfolded a chilling revelation. On several of their late-night streams, distant, heart-wrenching screams of cats could be overheard in the background. This shared information became a catalyst for change as the YouTube community united against this blatant animal cruelty. Ultimately, authorities were notified and they launched an investigation. Molly Truesdale faced legal consequences, and her channel lost thousands of formerly loyal and trusting subscribers. Revenge, ironically, became a central driving force for this allegedly Christian woman, and she launched a smear campaign on her YouTube channel against Hank and Deidre, seeking to divert attention from her own wrongdoings. She also attempted to evict them from her property, and a legal standoff ensued. The couple asserted their rights in civil court with a lawsuit against her, and she was ordered to cease and desist from harassing the Prestons during the discovery process. But throughout the ordeal, the YouTube community played a significant role, both in supporting Hank and Deidre's journey to redemption and in questioning their initial complicity. The couple, fueled by a commitment to exploitation and haunted by what they'd witnessed, sought alternatives for a more stable living situation. Eventually, their persistence paid off, and they secured a better place to live, marking a fresh start, unburdened by the shadows of their association with Molly Truesdale. And amid the amoral darkness of Molly's remaining channel subscribers, the question was asked, were his paws genuinely sweet?
Story number 2.
David Sutter found solace on his grandfather's rural farm, a serene escape from urban chaos. His single mother, Barbara, a sacrificial soul, gifted him a sleek, expensive drone for Christmas, reminding him always to affix a return address label to the expensive technology. That winter, his mother had to attend a 3-week training sabbatical for her job. Her trip coincided with winter break at David's private school. She arranged for him to stay in Holbrook, West Virginia, with his grandfather, Joe. She didn't want 13-year-old David to remain home alone in the city for that period of time. David's grandfather, Joe Delaney, a gruff Korean War veteran, set forth stern yet caring rules for David. "Stay away from the woods and the neighboring property," he advised. Boredom enveloped David. The drone beckoned him toward adventure. Pragmatically, he marked his grandfather's address as the return location since it was closest to his intended exploration area. What harm could a little exploration do? As the drone soared above the farm, capturing a peaceful, bucolic landscape, exhilaration coursed through David. Hovering high above the treetops, David's drone silently surveyed the woods, relaying the beautiful scenery through its camera. Suddenly, distant, blood-curdling screams permeated the audio feed. Instinctively, he steered the drone toward the source. Approaching a clearing, the screams intensified. The camera unveiled a nightmarish scene. A deranged clown chased a young woman who was wearing a knapsack. The audio captured her desperate pleas. The clown, devoid of remorse, summarily strangled the woman to death. The chilling reality played out before David's eyes through the drone's lens. The scene took a surreal turn when the clown, having committed his gruesome act, looked up to see the drone silently watching. Unfazed, the clown calmly picked up a large stone and threw it at the drone, sending it spiraling out of the sky. Silence settled over the woods as the drone's feed abruptly cut off. David grappled with the horrors witnessed through the lens, a profound sense of dread lingering. The encounter with the crazed clown, the bone-chilling screams of his victim etched into the audio feed, and the cold, calculated response of the killer to the drone's presence cast a shadow over the once serene landscape. In a shot, David beat feet back to his grandfather's rural farm, urgency propelling each step. That poor woman! Oh my God! He has my drone! David thought frantically. Breathless, he burst into the farmhouse, finding his grandfather amidst the rustic calm of making sourdough bread. In hurried words, David recounted the nightmarish encounter in the woods, the screams, and the deranged clown. "He has our address," he warned, his eyes reflecting the gravity of the situation. His grandfather's weathered face, etched with years of silent resilience, tightened with a mix of concern and determination. "Clown," was all he managed to huff in disgust to himself. Then, wordlessly, the old man grasped his 12-gauge Mossberg shotgun and 2 boxes of double-aught shotgun shells, a silent acknowledgement of the impending threat. He gave David a 12-gauge single-fire shotgun. "Come on," his grandfather said as he calmly moved to the living room of the farmhouse. "I'll show you how to use it." After the impromptu training session, they fortified the farmhouse, turning it into a makeshift bastion against the encroaching darkness. "Why don't we just call the sheriff, Grandpa?" "We will," his grandfather grimaced. "But right now, we need to prepare for a visit." The air thickened with anticipation as the distant echoes of the clown's laughter reached them, a menacing reminder of the impending confrontation. A few minutes after 11 p.m., the clown emerged from the shadows of the woods, coming right for the farmhouse's back door. Inside, the old man and his grandson stood as a united front. Soon, shots rang out, each one a defiant stand against the malevolent force that sought to invade their sanctuary. The double-aught buckshot found its mark, driving the clown back into the pitch-black tree line. In the aftermath, as the morning light pierced through the darkness, David and his grandfather shared a silent understanding. There was 0 blood splatter where the clown had been. The sheriff's office was soon called, and 4 hours later, 2 police deputies and an ambulance crew showed up to investigate the murder and to collect the unfortunate woman's body. The clown was Fred Skithers, a long-time resident of Holbrook and a serial killer who had recently escaped from a maximum security psych ward. His parents, whom he murdered in cold blood years before, had owned the property adjacent to Grandpa Joe's farm. This was not the first time Skithers had escaped from lockup, and Joe Delaney figured that this fucked up situation was on a wash, rinse, and repeat cycle until someone actually ended the loon for good. Police were as useful at keeping Skithers away from the area as tits on a bull. Later that day, deputies helped David locate his drone. They seized it as evidence, to be returned after a conviction was made. Skithers was still at large. Grandpa Joe and David had stood as a testament, firm against the haunting specter of a bloody past and future.